Oh, ow. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the movie Shadow in the Cloud. Want to talk about this movie is a bit of a stretch. Did I already give it away? Shadow in the Cloud is directed by Roseanne Liang, who is a New Zealand director who has done nothing of note. But the movie was pretty much pitched as like a World War II-ish kind of film where Chloe Grace Moretz is on a plane in the middle of a giant air battle and she's falling from the plane and there's explosions. Honestly, I've wondered where Chloe Grace Moretz has gone since Kick-Ass 2. I kind of want to check this movie out and kind of see what kind of film she's doing while she's been gone. Probably shouldn't have. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. There were a couple interesting concepts in this film that drove the plot, but it was really scattered all over the place. The character of Garrett, played by Chloe Grace Moretz, is a mysterious airwoman who has a mysterious package who gets on a mysterious plane with a bunch of mysterious men. Her mission is to protect the package and get it delivered where they're going. But there's all sorts of issues that rise up along the way. But the biggest antagonist of all in this film is toxic masculinity, which is to the detriment of this film. This is the 2nd or 3rd film that I've watched in a short period of time that's all about virtue signaling. Let me just tell you, it's not a great device to have in your film. Especially since at the beginning of this movie, there's a political cartoon having to do with the Air Force. And it shows a little cartoon video of an airman basically blaming bad airman mistakes on a gremlin instead of just owning up that it's the fault of the airman. And after seeing that, I was like, there's no way that this is really about that. Could it be? That would actually be kind of cool. But the plot of this film doesn't really focus on that. This film is kind of like Buried or The Guilty, but the payoff at the end of this movie is not at all worth what you go through to get there. This movie is characterized as war/action, but I would argue that it's more of a drama than anything. Because of the weak payoff at the end of the movie, all the pain that you have to go through to get there, and this movie not being able to decide what kind of movie it wants to be, the plot gets a thumbs down. 2 is family friendliness. From the moment that the character of Garrett gets on the plane, we are given about an hour of Garrett being in the belly gunner pod of the plane, with her talking to these pilots and trying to argue that she is capable and that she is so much more than all of the degrading comments and sexist and super inappropriate comments that they're throwing at her, while swimming in an ocean of profanity. In addition to that, there is blood and gore at certain parts of the film. So with all that in mind, this movie's not family friendly at all. Thumbs down. 3 is acting and script. Really, the only actress that you get to see on screen for that long is Chloe Grace Moretz. You see the other actors at different parts, but this is the issue with what I mentioned in the plot, is that if your intention with a film is to unnaturally make it look like the woman is so much more intelligent and sophisticated and capable than the men, then these actually could be decent male actors have to dial back their performance. So literally the men in this movie are made to look like completely sexist, terrible people, and their acting ability suffers because of it. It looks like the men in this movie are not even acting because they're trying to make Chloe Grace Moretz's character look that much far superior to them. And the script doesn't help this at all. Every single line that the men deliver is meant to be as an insult or detriment to the character of Garrett. That's just the way that this movie was written. It's a terrible template for a film because there's natural ways that you can do that. Like in, say, in Wonder Woman, they didn't know that she was capable of all the things that she was because they'd never seen it before. This was an era where there wasn't slim to none female airmen, and so it wouldn't have been something they'd seen before. But instead of handling it like the way they did in Wonder Woman, that actually worked really well, they just made us suffer through all of this garbage and all of these disgusting dialogue. And all that to say, Chloe Grace Moretz's performance in this movie is not that good. She just really looked like she was just reading lines and showing up there for a paycheck. And to be honest, most of this movie is just her grunting and screaming. So acting and script get a huge thumbs down. 4 is character development. You have to be careful to differentiate story development versus character development in this film. None of the characters are developed at all. There are moments that progress the story along and you find out more as you go, kind of like Buried and The Guilty, but it doesn't develop their characters. You do find out more about the character of Garrett and why she's doing what she's doing and more of her background, but it's done in a way that's a twist, and at that point in the movie you don't really care, and it doesn't add to the film overall by the end. Basically at the end of the film you're meant to believe that the character of Garrett is so superior to all these men who've been in the air the entire life that they're made to look really stupid. That's not character development, that's belittling other people to make yourself look better. It's basically reverse psychology the way that they do it, and it's just really poor. So character development gets a thumbs down. Number 5 is CG and visuals. The CG in this movie actually wasn't that bad. The explosions look decent. The other CG that I won't spoil in case you ever decide to watch this trash fire of a movie is actually pretty decent. And some of the visuals are okay. I mean, so much of the movie is looking at Chloe Grace Moretz in the belly gunner of a plane. You don't really get that many stunning visuals. So objectively, I have to give CG a thumbs up. And 6 is rewatchability. Have you ever watched a movie in your life that feels like probably 2.5 hours longer than it actually is? This movie is 1 hour and 26 minutes long. It feels like you're in that belly gunner cockpit with Chloe Grace Moretz for so much longer than that. And the one hope you have the entire movie is that it's going to get better. And then it gets to the end of the film and you're like, it's so much worse. Maybe she should have just stayed in the cockpit, honestly. There's absolutely no reason why I'd go back and watch this movie. The only reason why I'm making this review is because the movie itself was so bad that I have to justify somehow me watching it and having wasted the time watching it to tell you guys to not go back and watch it. So rewatchability gets a huge thumbs down. Having gone through all those categories, I have to give Shadow in the Cloud a 2 out of 10. This movie had a couple interesting ideas behind it, but instead of focusing on that, they focus on making the men look evil in the film and their dialogue being absolutely disgusting. The message behind this movie is to clearly make men look evil. I'm sorry, but I'm not about that. So with that being said, Shadow in the Cloud is definitely not worth your time. Do not waste it. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Shadow in the Cloud, first of all, bless you for what you went through. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.